to go tight on him?
Yeah, I'll
for
go
that?
tight, I'll go tight on him for that, for these, for both of them.
Your first line is, "My name is Warren Hickman. I attended FDR's I Hate War speech at Chautauqua." And I'll hold this, I'll keep this held up for you.
I
Frame,
think the way he, yeah, the way he's looking right now is good.
okay.
Turn-
Where is he?
He's off to the side a little bit.
Line it up with your finger, so I'll line the script up.
here.
Okay, all
Right
right.
here.
So if I hold that like that,
Yep.
and you look at that, right?
Right here.
Okay. As long as I'm not in the way.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. 3, 2, 1.
My name is Warren Hickman. I attended FDR's I Hate War speech at Chautauqua. I was 15 years old at the time.
Do it again.
My name is Warren Hickman. I attended FDR's I Hate War speech at Chautauqua. I was at that time 15 years old.
We getting wind noise? Okay. Let's do it. We're going to do it a third time. I'll cue you.
And a little, project your voice if you can.
Okay? Go.
My name is Warren Hickman. I attended FDR's I Hate War speech at Chautauqua when I was 15 years old.
Okay. Now we'll do the damn park bench one.
Yeah.
Okay. Now do this again with the damn park bench salesman. Damn good park bench salesman. Okay. Go.
How much background do you want? I was standing, telling them where I
No,
was?
no. I just want you to do this same thing, and then at the end say, "And I was a damn good park bench salesman."
My name is Warren Hickman. I attended FDR's I Hate War speech at Chautauqua. At the time, I was 15 years old and a darn good bench salesman.
Are you okay if he says damn?
Yeah, okay with me?
Are you okay to say damn?
I never used the word.
Okay. Darn. Then use darn. Use who you are. Go.
My name is Warren Hickman. I attended FDR's I Hate War speech at Chautauqua. I was 15 years old at the time and a darn good park bench salesman.
Do it one more time. 3, 2.
My name is Warren Hickman. I attended FDR's I Hate War speech at Chautauqua. I was at that time 15 years old and a darn good park bench salesman. Excellent.
Okay.
Now we'll get set up and do the main part of it.
Okay, I'm going to zoom out a little bit here. I'm going to zoom out. Just above the waist. Okay, and you see a little more of the picture of the side. Okay, I'm going to stop and start the camera just so you get a clean clip.
That's fine. And I'll hit the slate here.
Got the slate, all that good stuff. Warren Hickman, Director Evans, August 4th, take one.
Tell us what you remember about August 1936 and the president's coming to Chautauqua.
I was like all teenagers, anxious to see the president, never having seen a president before. So I was standing at the far side of the amphitheater, and people were standing 3 or 4 deep around. And one of the gentlemen said, "Can you bring us a park bench so we could stand on it and see over the crowd? I'll give you 50 cents. Well, I got back in time to hear Roosevelt say, "I hate war," but in the meantime, I sold at least 10 park benches at 50 cents a tire.
How much did that mean to you?
Well, this was the end of the Depression, and 50 cents was better than $5 today as far as a teenager was concerned.
What else do you remember about that? The excitement? What was the feeling on the grounds that Roosevelt was coming?
Well, in those days, without television, and only occasionally seeing the president in a newsreel at theaters, everybody wanted to see a live president. And there was a great deal of excitement in the sense of people coming in from all over, not just the Chautauquans, everybody wanting to see President Roosevelt. And you could feel it in the crowd.
How packed was the amphitheater?
Oh, the amphitheater was completely filled, and they were standing about 4 deep all the way around the outside. And there were people who couldn't even stand there because they couldn't see, so they were sitting a little further back on chairs. No, it was probably a crowd of the amphitheater at that time, when really pushed, might get 5,000 people. So I would say there were at least 7,000 people, maybe more.
Was it a nighttime event?
Pardon?
Was it a nighttime address?
No, in the daytime.
Can I ask a question?
Go ahead.
I'm gonna zoom out. And Warren, we're gonna zoom out, and I want you to describe the bench you're sitting on and tell us, is this a similar bench? Give me just a moment to get things lined up here, okay? So the bench I got was like this one, or it was different, or whatever. How's that?
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Hold on, you're gonna get that one. Go ahead.
So Warren, how was the bench you're sitting on similar to the one you acquired, those you acquired for people at the institution?
They were just like this, but they were in what we now call Bestor Plaza. So we just made one trip after the other to Plaza. So next speaker that came, we decided to do the same thing, but the institution had caught on, and all the park benches were piled just behind the library so that people could pick them up themselves.
That was, who do you recall that was? It was his opponent, right? Tell who that was and how far after FDR. It was like 10 days after FDR. Alf Landon.
Yeah,
Alf
I
Landon.
remember.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about the Alf Landon speech?
I didn't hear as much of the Alf Landon speech because in those days as a teenager you wanted to hear the president, but his opponent you wanted to see just to know who he was, but you as a teenager did not listen that much.
Warren, were you a Democrat or a Republican?
At that time, I was too young to be either one, but today I'm an independent.
Zoom in on him a little bit, okay. And I'm going to ask him about what he learned later.
Yep. I'm going to stop it so you get a clean clip.
Okay.
How's that? A little more?
A little more here. There you go. I like that hat.
Yeah, I'm going to get that hat there. Okay.
You getting the laughter? Little, just little?
Wait a minute. Okay. Warren Hickman at Chautauqua. Evans, Purdue director, take 2.
What do you remember after the I Hate War speech? What did you learn? You went on to be an academic and a
My
researcher.
field is international relations, and after 50 years of research in that field and writing a couple of books about it, I learned that the speeches Roosevelt gave were usually put together by four individuals: the Secretary of State, the Assistant Secretary, Burrell, and I forgot who the fourth one is. And they then would work with the speechwriters, get the speech in right order, show it to Roosevelt so he'd know where to emphasize, and that was the only input Roosevelt had in the speeches.
It was "I hate war," but what did you appreciate after the fact? His speech was the "I hate war" speech.
Yes.
What did you learn about the reality in contrast to what he said here at Chautauqua?
Well, by 1936, Hitler had just rearmed the Rhineland, and Roosevelt was concerned about the British and the French, but especially the British, surviving. And from then on, he was learning some economic lessons. He had never realized that international trade was absolutely essential for survival of the country, but he had advisors who finally convinced him that you had to have free trade in order for the Americans to sell. You had to have people from other countries buying American goods with the dollars they earned when we sold something. So at that point, he became more internationally minded. And when he first came to office, he had complete contempt for the State Department. He thought they were just a bunch of people pulling down a pay and doing nothing. But later on, he began to have a bit more respect. I would say the big thing that happened after this was as he became more conscious of the need for international trade, the more he became a realist who realized that we had to have cooperation with the European countries like England and France, and became more concerned about Japan. In fact, later he spent about a year and a half pushing Japan into the war because he knew the Americans would not stand for a war just to support England. But if America was attacked, American property like the Philippines might get attacked, then we could be in the war, and as a result, we could become an ally of the people in Europe as well. And so there was a lot of hypocrisy in the period, but I didn't know that then. That came after many years of research.
What he said here was in contrast to what he was thinking, correct?
Could you repeat that?
What he said here was, and the message he gave at Chautauqua was contrary to what was going on behind the scenes in his administration.
Yes, because after all, he did not write the speech. He gave the speech, but it was about a year later in 37 and 38 that he began working actively to support the British and French. Because in 1937, we were about to head into a recession in the midst of the Depression, when all at once war orders came from England and France for ships, planes, trucks, and we got out of the Depression by those pre-war orders from the countries that were going to be first involved in the war.
I want you to talk a little bit about your life as a Chautauquan and what Chautauqua has meant to you. You're a lifelong Chautauquan.
Chautauqua has given so much to my family and me that there's no way we could ever repay it. My father had been pretty much self-educated, but when he came to Chautauqua for years, he never missed a lecture, never missed a concert, never missed a play. He was one of the best educated people I know, with having dropped out of high school at the end of his sophomore year. I came here as a youngster, joined the Boys and Girls Club, and later became a counselor at the Boys Club. After the war, when I came back, I went down to the so-called college club And there that one afternoon, I met a nice lady who became my wonderful wife. And my children belonged to the Boys and Girls Club and worked here, one as a counselor, one on the stage crew in the amphitheater. But everybody got something out of it in terms of friends they met from all over the country. My next door neighbors at that time were from Mississippi, and I had close friends from Pittsburgh. And I was living at the time in a small community outside of Buffalo. This is where I learned to love music. In the last 26 years since my wife died, except for 2 days in the hospital, I've never missed a symphony concert. I attend the operas. I like the lawn bowl. I used to play golf and sail, but I'm a little too old for that now. But Chautauqua gave it so much that you can't really explain unless you've been here. It was part of the ambience. You stepped out of the outside world and into Chautauqua, and it was just a wonderful 2 months experience. When you drove in the first time, all the fields were green. When you left, everything was brown, and you wondered, oh, gee, gotta wait another whole year before I can get back. Chautauqua just gave my whole family everything, a love of music, some good speakers. I eventually myself ended up doing 17 of the 1045 amphitheater lectures and about 10 in the Hall of Philosophy. But I later went on the Board of Trustees, and I was chairing the executive committee of the Board of Trustees when Tom Becker was brought into the room and introduced as our new vice president for development. And I watched him develop over the years, and the great things he did as president. And I also had the opportunity to have been chairing the search committee that brought Dan Bratton here as president. So I've tried as much as possible to do something, because I'm not a wealthy person, and therefore I can not do it in terms of gifts. But I wish I could, because Chautauqua has made my life and my family's life.
I want to do the wide shot with the photograph.
Okay.
And I want you to talk about your war experience a
Let me-
little bit.
let me-
Yep, we're going to stop it.
Stop it. Give you a clean.
You were here for this speech, and then 5 years later you ended up in the war. We have to start, right? Yep. He's out of the picture, but he's holding it.
Ralph is out of the picture.
Yeah, okay.
Out of the picture in this one.
We're going to...
Ralph's hand is
That's
in this
okay,
one.
you're
A little bit of his hand there is there.
you just, okay. Just hold it a little lower, yep. And we got to keep that tilted back. There. Okay. Ready?
Tilt a little bit like this.
Perfect.
Okay, get the cameras going. Okay. Take 3, Warren Hickman interview by Director Evans, August 4th.
And Director of Photography, Dr. V. Explain the timeline of 1936 to 1941 for you. What happened? You were here, and then you were...
Well, I went to college, and I went to Colgate, and in 1940, Colgate adopted the same pattern they did in the First World War, which was to jam 3 semesters into a year instead of 1. And as a result, at the end of my 7th semester, I was called in and told that there were 7 of us who had all the credits we needed to graduate, that we want to graduate. Well, in those days, everybody in the college wanted to get in the war before it ended. They wanted to do something for the country. And so I said, yes, I'll graduate. And I graduated on the 14th of April, and 9 days later I entered Niagara as an induction center, went on to artillery school in Fort Bragg, arrived in England, and suddenly found that I was brought aside and put in a small group, a small camp, and didn't realize, but I was being vetted by the FBI at that point. And the next thing I knew, I was in London, told I was a member of COSIC, Chief of Staff's Supreme Allied Command, and about 6 weeks later, General Eisenhower arrived, and as Supreme Commander, they changed the name to SHAFE, Supreme Headquarters Allied Expeditionary Forces, and I was told to establish a top secret filing center, top secret and bigot because it covered the British as well, and to operate it. And a few weeks later, I found myself with several assistants, and my job was to read everything that came in or out, because various generals only got the information that they were supposed to be working with, but somebody had to know whether to send extra files in along with a document that had just arrived. So I read about 28,000 documents, including one-page cables and 20 or 30-page operational plans, and intelligence reports, that kind of thing, and then decided what documents to include with the one that came in to send to a certain general or a certain colonel.
Pretty important job, from 15 years old to college to...
It was about a month before D-Day, and I knew where we were landing and when, which most generals didn't. But I put in for a transfer to the 82nd Airborne, and waited almost 2.5 weeks, didn't get a reply. Got back a thick stack of documents that started out approving me, but the last end they said they had no room for me. So I went into the executive officer and I said, would you send this in a second time? He said, Warren, we thought this would satisfy you. You can never be transferred to any place where you could become a prisoner of war. You have a photographic memory and you've read more than any one of the generals here.
Right.
I was not important. I just was doing the best job I could because I had fraternity brothers and other friends who were being killed or shipped home very seriously wounded, and I was sitting in headquarters, and I figured I had to do whatever I could.
All right. There's one other thing I want to do here.
Are we done with the picture?
Yes, you can bring the picture down.
I'm going to stop it.
Okay.
I know your arms are getting tired.
Okay, let's do just one more thing. I'm just going to ask you to reflect on the experiences that you had and the incredible spectrum of experiences that you
I mean, all my life?
in that period of time, from 15 to being at a headquarters operation to,
To now?
yeah.
Take a moment, let me get the camera. This
Yep.
is one that benefits from a little closer in look. It's coming from the heart.
This is take 4. Did you want that light on?
It bothers his eyes.
Okay, all right.
Okay, we ready?
Yep, this is take 4.
This is take 4 of the Warren Hickman interview by Director Evans on August 4th, 2015.
If you could just reflect on this extraordinary spectrum of events, from being 15 at a presidential address to the subsequent things that happened to you.
I was born on a farm in western New York, and Chautauqua was a stepping stone into a different world. I went to college, went into the Army, as I said, and I came out of the Army, met a wonderful wife, had 2 wonderful children, and have been coming to Chautauqua each summer. I went on into the academic field. I finished my doctorate in Switzerland at the Graduate Institute of International Studies, preparing to be a diplomat, but found out that diplomats were started in small countries where you had to send your children out for most of the year for education in Switzerland or someplace else. And I thought that's no way to raise a family. So I decided to try and prepare diplomats. But about 3 years into my first teaching job at Ohio Northern, the dean of the university, equivalent of provost, because the deans of law, engineering, pharmacy, and liberal arts, dean of students, commissions all reported to him, died. And on his deathbed, he told the trustees that I should be a new one. And here's this young man. So 2 years later, having tried to raise the academic standards, the president of Ithaca College drove up to my house one day and introduced himself, and talked with my wife and I, and somebody in Chicago had recommended me because Ithaca College at that point was on the verge of closure. They failed accreditation, and I went there for 9 years and enjoyed the challenge. We got accredited. We built up a very small liberal arts college into being the major part of the college. And then when it leveled off, there was no challenge. That began to get boring. And so I had a chance to go to Maxwell Graduate School to co-direct a doctoral program. And from there, they asked me to go to Eisenhower College, which was going to start, but had suddenly been told by the state they couldn't open even though they had the buildings almost completed. When they were asked why, they said, because you don't have anybody that knows anything about a college. And so somehow or other they thought me, and they went to Florida and interviewed the retired president of Ithaca College and then the present president, and finally went up to Syracuse, where I was working at that time, and as a co-director of a particular program, and at the Maxwell Graduate School. And I didn't realize that the gentleman Peace Corps, who was provost, was at the time also head of Middle States and and not Middle States, but the accreditation association that covered our area. And he had been aware of what I'd done with the college. I didn't know that. And they said to him, could we open if we got Hickman as the academic vice president? And he said yes. So I ended up at Eisenhower College until 13 years later they merged with RIT, and I retired emeritus from RIT. And since then I've been writing, trying to, one way you got to keep from getting old is go to the fitness center and write. And I've enjoyed life because every year I know I'm going to come up here for 2 months. And that makes it all worthwhile.
Want to do one more thing?
Okay, I'm gonna shut down,
Well,
or you might come back up.
I want you to come wide. Can you back up a little bit so that we see him on the park bench?
Okay, that's the deal.
And I'm going to have you hold the cane, and if you want to just hold the cane in front of you with your hands on it.
Okay, position me here.
Yeah, you're
Any
just so
wider?
we see. No, we're good, and you see the amphitheater, and you see the stuff in the background. If you want to center it, if you want to bring it over and center it a little more, that's good. Where did my flying papers go? Okay.
Yeah, keep center well. I want to be centered a little more.
I'm going to have you do the first thing we did. I'm going to have you do it again, where you end it with, and I was a darn good park bench salesman. I'm going to have you do this piece again with that tag on it. All right? Do I need the clapper?
Just take 5?
Or take 6, yeah.
Take 6, we'll call it.
Or take A.
Okay.
Okay. Why don't you do the clapper for me? You're going to hold it in front. Come on over.
Plain and sharp focus there.
There we go. And it's dry erase. Hold it in front of him. Hold it right in front of him. Right up in front of him.
We're in, right there.
Yeah.
Okay, this is the Warren Hickman interview. Director Evans, August 4, 2015, take 6.
My name is Warren Hickman. I attended FDR's I Hate War speech at Chautauqua when I was 15 years old, and I was a darn good salesman for park benches.
You tired?
I thought you guys were just going to ask me whether I attended and how many people. I didn't know you were going to interview me for
What, you want an extra 50 cents?
Did you hear that, Warren? He asked if you wanted extra 50 cents.
Were you rolling on that?
That's right. The inflation.
I wish I was.
Oh, you want the inflation? In all of your talking, you brought back so many memories of my mother, I think, was a counselor here in the 30s. And my father graduated from Colgate
God, that would have been.
in the early 40s. His name was Albert Harris, Bud Harris.
Bud Harris, yes, I knew Bud Harris.
You knew Bud Harris? You knew his dad?
I get that's what he's saying.
My goodness. We better turn the cameras back on for that.
No.
And my,
Wait, don't go away. Sit, please.
You're wired up,
all
Warren.
wired up.
You're wired up. Well, isn't that something? I didn't know your dad went to the gate. Russ?
Yeah, and then he talked about, the getting out real fast so they could go to the war.